Good morning. This morning, I want to talk about very simply why we need to meditate and how to meditate in a very simple but very powerful and effective way. So why do we need to meditate? Well, we don't have to meditate, obviously, but if you want to enjoy the benefits of meditation, it's something that, like any habit or discipline, takes practice, perseverance, patience, and sort of you've got to stick at it at the beginning. It doesn't take long, though, before it becomes an integral part of your life and one of the most important things you do in your day for your own sort of sanity, equilibrium, your own peace. Helps with your focus, your energy levels, your own health, mental, emotional, and physical. So why do we meditate? One of the reasons we meditate is to go in and connect to our inner core. There's a core in our being that we can find when we close off the world of the senses and we go within ourselves. And that core is calm, excuse me, and peaceful all the time. That core is where we find our inner strength, our courage, our resilience. It's where we find true wisdom. We find our intuition. We find guidance. There's so much that's available when we connect with that essence of who we are, what I call our true self. And if we do that on a daily basis, what it means is the world has less effect on us. The world has less ability to throw us off balance. The world around us doesn't evoke fear so much. We just are able to cope with the world in a better way. And it's because we're anchored, we're connected to this inner core of peace, calm, clarity, and strength. And so what we do is, by going and connecting each day, we also bring those qualities that we connect to into our life, into our everyday life. We have more tolerance. We are less reactive. We find we can forgive more easily. We find compassion and unconditional love come more easily. We find insight and understanding because we come to trust that intuitive sense of what's right for us and what's wrong for us. So it becomes like a guiding light inside of us that we just connect to each day. And it doesn't have to be, there's no prescription. You don't have to meditate twice a day. You don't have to sit in the lotus position. You don't have to do it for a particular length of time. It's more the quality of your meditation. And it is important that it's regular because it builds. And it builds over weeks and months and years. And what it does is it builds, is it changes our mind. It changes not just our experience in meditation. We're able to go deeper, experience greater peace and clarity, but also our experience in our everyday life. Our mind becomes calm. The thoughts are less busy. There's more space between the thoughts. We can choose which thoughts we give attention to and which we let go. Thoughts don't have a hold on our mind so much. We don't have to engage in avoidance or addictive behaviors to avoid what's going on in our mind, because we essentially take back control of our mind. And how this works is, in meditation, no matter how you meditate, whether you use a mantra, a candle, a phrase, the breath, you have a point of focus. And by coming to that point of focus, you're focusing your mind. And whenever your mind is distracted by thoughts, you come back to that point of focus, what Buddhists call the object of your meditation. And it's not that the fact that your mind went off and was distracted is not really important. What is important is that you recognize that it did and that you come back to the focus. And it's very, very important that when you come back to the focus, you do so without judgment or criticism. You're not that internal critic is not active, because that's just more thoughts. That's what we call your ego, your lower self, not the best aspect of your mind. And so we come back to the focus, maybe in our case today, that will be the breath, with loving kindness. Like thinking of a child when they first learn to do something new. We don't give them a hard time if they're learning to walk and they fall over. We encourage them. We treat them with loving kindness because we want them to develop this new skill. And so we have this attitude of loving kindness toward ourselves, because we know that our mind, especially in the world we live in, where our minds are bombarded. If you think of your physical body thrives with a healthy diet, it's quite difficult in our world now to have a healthy mental diet. You have to be discriminative. You have to very carefully choose what comes into your mind and your awareness and what doesn't. And that's becoming increasingly difficult as the world becomes sort of a world of distraction, a world of social media, a world of, all this information, and not much of it. We don't know what's true, what isn't, but it affects us. As soon as you watch something, you hear something, you engage with something, it comes into your mind. So that's like your mind diet. And so what meditation does, excuse me, is it gives you, those things can come in, but because in meditation, every time that you focus on the object of meditation, so like every time I focus on the mantra or I focus on my breath, what happens is I come into a part of my mind I would call your higher mind. And this is the part of our mind that enables us to witness, to observe. So what we do in meditation, we go deep into the peace, and the everyday thoughts calm down. And this enables the witness to come to the fore of our mind. And when we are in the place of the witness, we just see thoughts come into our mind and pass through. We don't hold them in our mind. They're just like passing through, like a river passing by, and you're standing on the river bank. And the place of this silent witness is when you're stepping into that strength, clarity, power of your true self, and you are just witnessing what's happening in your mind. And once you start to witness what's happening in your mind, you take back the reins of your life, you take back the reins in your mind, and you are able to take back control of your own mind. You're less controlled by the thoughts that run in your mind, and you can choose the ones you give attention to and the ones you hold in your mind, the ones you explore further, and you can choose the ones that you just let pass through. Like a cloud passing across a clear blue open sky, your mind, your essential nature of your mind is the clear blue open sky. And this develops an amazing capacity so that even when storm clouds, dark storm clouds, obliterate that clear blue open sky palette of your mind, you know the clear blue open sky with the sun, your soul shining, is behind the clouds. You know the clouds are just your perspective. It's just what's passing through your mind at the moment. It's not a permanent residence, and this too will pass. And so we come to trust that the thoughts in our mind are not us. We come to realize we are not our thoughts. And once we realize this, we start to realize that we are the observer. And this is a very powerful change. And I can talk about it intellectually, but it's when it actually hits home and we experience that. We experience that we are the observer, we are the witness. And when this happens, and this happens when we persevere with meditation, and it doesn't happen when we're looking for it to happen, it happens of its own time. And it depends where your mind is at when you start meditating. And what happens as you step, as this witness, this silent observer, as you come to connect with it each and every day, it starts to appear in your everyday life so that you are able to witness life. And there's a certain detachment that you're still engaged, you're still connected, but life is not controlling you. You can step back, and it also enables you to see many things, to have an awareness of things that other people might not have an awareness of. You're able to see truths behind things or the bigger picture. Your witness is connected to your intuitive wisdom, which is connected to universal wisdom. So often when we step into the witness, we see things differently. We have a different perspective. We can intuit greater insight into an understanding into a situation. And all of this happens by sitting quietly and focusing on an object of meditation, whether that's a mantra or the breath or whatever you're choosing. And this develops the strength of mind. You could call the strength of your mind is it develops a self-awareness. It develops a capacity of awareness. And that awareness is this silent witness, this observer. And really what it is you're enabling yourself to experience greater and greater amounts of your consciousness. You become more consciously aware all the time. And so you will naturally be more present and in the moment and mindful all of the time, engaging with life as it is in this moment. Less affected by thoughts that arise from fears and doubts in the past, or thoughts that are projected fears, and these are anxieties and worries. When we take fears from the past and we project them into the future, that's anxiety and worry. So because you're present as the observer, yes, something from the past might come up for you to deal with, but you're dealing with it with awareness. You're present to it. So for example, when I talked in previous talks about feeling your emotions and experiencing your emotions, letting them flow through you. So if you are triggered in life and an emotional response rises up through you, you are able to let that flow through and then glean the insights from that, what fears were coming up, what it relates to, what needs healing, what is out of balance. And it's this awareness. That's the key. Meditation develops your awareness so that you're more in touch with the world. So people think that meditation is retreating from the world. And yes, it is in a way. You're spending 10, 15 minutes a day connecting to your true self in a place of peace and nourishment and shutting out the world of the five senses. But what it does is that practice enables you to engage with the world on a finely tuned level, is how I would describe it. You're just more engaged, you're more aware, you have more conscious awareness. And so all of this, if that's not reasons enough why to meditate, you also meditate for others, for the world, for making a difference, for implementing change. If you don't like the way our world is, and I would say at the moment, there's not many people that are probably very happy with the way the world is, one of the best and most powerful things you can do is meditate. Because when you connect to your true self, your essence, your authenticity, you bring that into the world, and that energy is far more powerful than all the negative energy in the world. That energy is the energy of positive change. So this is why we say, if you want world peace, find inner peace. And when you find that inner peace, you will naturally bring it into your world, and every person you come into contact with will experience some of what you've brought into the world, and that sparks the same in them. And that's the key, is your awareness and your consciousness, if you like, your light starts to shine. You become your authentic self. You have the courage to show up in the world as who you are. You spark that in other people. And some people will be uncomfortable with that and they will drift out of your life. You don't resonate with them. Others will welcome it because here is someone who is integral. They're being honest, they're authentic, and people want to know how to do that. They want that because this gives our life meaning and purpose. When we show up as our true authentic self, our creativity flows, our engagement with life is on a different level, and we experience happiness. There's nothing that makes you happier than being who you are. And meditation will enable you to be who you are in the world as it is at the moment, and you will help others to be who they are. And it's like a rippling effect out those waves when you drop a pebble into a pond. Those waves ripple out and they touch everyone that you come in contact with. So we don't just meditate for our own inner peace, we meditate for world peace. We don't just meditate for our own inner wisdom, we meditate for wisdom of humanity. So humanity wakes up and changes. And so there's an awful lot of good reasons to just sit comfortably and meditate 10, 15 minutes a day. And what we say in esoteric terms is when you meditate, you learn to walk in two worlds. So we have this inner world and we have this outer world. And when you meditate, you've got a foot in each camp, you've got a foot in each world. And we start to learn that we are in the world, but not of it. Who we truly are is who we experience in our inner world, but we can bring that into this outer world. It doesn't mean we separate from this outer world at all. And the other thing to realize is meditation. When you first start to meditate, you will become even more aware of the thoughts in your mind. And you're like, there's a crazy place in here. It's chaotic. But quite quickly that will calm down. Okay. The other thing to realize in meditation is you can't clear your mind. You just can't. You cannot stop thoughts in your mind, but you can step back from them. And like a garden, think of your mind as a garden. When you meditate, you become the gardener of your mind. So you can just give no attention to those negative thoughts. They come in, they pass through. You don't give them attention. They're like weeds that wither and die. Eventually they go. And you can give full attention and water. Shine your light, shine the light of your soul, the sunshine on the thoughts that do serve you, the ones you want to grow, the flowers you want to bloom in the garden of your mind. And in this way, you have a choice. And this is the key. This is the key to the freedom that meditation gives you. It gives you choice in your mind. Most people walking around think they're ruled by their thoughts and they're ruled by their mind, and there's nothing they can do about it. But you can. And meditation, in my experience, is the best way to change your mind for the positive. So enough said, I'm going to now teach you a very simple meditation, just using the breath. And the reason that I find using the breath so powerful is the breath connects the mind and the body, the mind, body, and the soul. So think of the breath as the great connector. The breath also connects us to life. When we breathe in life force energy. When we breathe out, we connect with the life force energy all around us. So by connecting to the breath in meditation, we are still connected to life. And the other thing about connecting to the breath is when we breathe deeply down into our belly, what we call diaphragmatic breathing or deep yogic breathing, which I'll teach you, we stimulate the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve in our body kicks off what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is all the functions in your body that work toward repair, healing, rejuvenation, and relaxation. So it's the opposite of the stress response. It's the healing balm to the stress response. So if your life is stressful, the more time you spend activating your vagus nerve, whether it's through relaxation, whether it's through listening to music, whether it's through meditation, that vagus nerve is very healing. And it's not just healing for our physical body. We know that when we stimulate the vagus nerve in meditation, it creates theta brain waves patterns in our brain. And this actually heals the brain tissue, the nervous tissue, the whole nervous system. Theta brainwave state is that state between waking and sleeping, just before you fall asleep. And many adults don't spend much of their day in this state, but it is very healing for the whole nervous system, and especially your brain and the neurons in your physical brain. So children under the age of about 12 spend much of their day in a theta brainwave state. It's why their imagination and creativity and energy flows so readily. Adults, we don't spend long enough in the theta brainwave state. So there's another reason to meditate. It's good for your brain. It'll prevent your brain aging. Some of the age-related changes we assume happen in our brain don't happen in people who meditate regularly. In fact, we see positive changes. They do studies on monks who've meditated for years, and they don't see the same changes in their brains that they see in people who live in the Western world. So the keys to meditating needs to be every day. Needs to be somewhere where you feel comfortable and peaceful. It's important that people around you support your meditation. If they don't, if they're not keen, like I sit up in bed and meditate, some people that doesn't work for them. Find a chair, find a peaceful place, find a place that's where you won't be interrupted for 10 to 15 minutes. You want to be warm, comfortable, and it pays to sit upright, because if you lie down, you'll fall asleep. Okay, that theta brainwave state will go into a delta state and you'll go off to sleep. And when you're sitting upright, your chakras are aligned, so the energy flows through those energy centers in an ideal way. And you can also be grounded to the earth. So you sit upright, you can sit in a chair, not rigid, but comfortably upright. If you find yourself going to sleep in meditation, you'll find your chin is dropped, okay? And all you do is you just lift your chest and lift your chin, and that will stimulate the sympathetic nervous system and just bring you back to awareness and awakeness during the meditation. So we'll begin by having your feet planted firmly on the floor, and it's important that your feet are not crossed. So you want your feet just comfortably apart, hands resting in your lap, and usually just rest whatever's comfortable. Meditation positions for your hands can be your left palm, your right palm in your left palm and the thumbs touching. You can make a circle with your first finger and your thumb. You can bring all your fingers together in this mudra of empowerment. You can use mudras in meditation if you want to, or just let your hands rest comfortably on your lap. Now gently close your eyes. And whenever I meditate, I like to ground my energy, just so I know I'm connected to the earth, I'm connected to life, even though I'm meditating. And I bring those higher energies through into life. So just imagine you're sending a connection from the center of your feet down into the earth. You're just connecting to this beautiful planet, remembering you're part of her whole ecosystem. And then we come into the present moment, and we do this by focusing on the senses. So just be aware of your body sitting on the chair. Become aware of the clothes on your skin. Become aware of any sounds in the room. Just let them come in, let them be. Now take that same awareness to your breath. And if you can, it's ideal to breathe through your nose, but just whatever's comfortable. And just notice the breath as it comes in. Notice the breath as it leaves. So just to focus on that in-breath and the out-breath. Now we're going to slowly take the breath a little deeper. So as you breathe in, just imagine that breath is going down into your belly. So you can place your hands on your tummy. You gently breathe into your hands, your tummy fills with air. As you breathe out, your hands come back towards your body. But it's a rhythm that feels comfortable, it's gentle. And this will stimulate your vagus nerve and help you to relax physically. So just keep your mind resting on the breath. So it's not a forced concentration on the breath. It's like a butterfly resting on a flower. You're just resting on the flow of the breath coming in, going down into your belly, returning from your belly up, coming out through your nose or your mouth. Just watch that pattern. Now, if thoughts come into your mind, and these thoughts distract your mind, that's fine. That's all part of the meditation. As soon as you recognize that you've been distracted, just gently bring your mind back to the breath with no judgment, no criticism, just loving kindness. When we first start to meditate, sometimes our mind becomes very busy. Sometimes the opposite happens and our thoughts hide. Just enjoy whichever. Just accept whatever is happening in your mind. And just keep coming back to the breath. That's all you need to do. Just focus on your breath. And as you follow the breath with your mind, you'll find it takes you into a quiet place inside, a place of stillness. Now, this might not happen straight away when you first start. You'll get glimpses of it, but as you practice, it will become easier to drop down into this quiet place. Thoughts are still running through your mind, but it's like they've moved to the background. You might observe them come in, flow through your mind, and pass out of your mind. like you're standing on a riverbank, observing the thoughts flowing by with the flow of the water. The riverbank is your place of safety. It's where you rest in your authentic, true self. Now, every now and then a thought will grab your attention and you'll jump into the river and follow it downstream. You'll get caught up in thinking it. As soon as you realize this has happened, just come back to the breath, and that will bring you back to the riverbank, where you simply observe the thoughts passing by. Whenever your mind is distracted, just gently, lovingly come back to the breath. You follow the breath that will always take you into the peace and the stillness. And now I'm going to gently invite you to arise from your meditation. Just keep your eyes closed for a moment, but start to come back into an awareness of your physical body, moving and stretching if you need to. And when we come out of meditation, to bring that, all that good inner peace that we found, to bring it back out into the world, it's important when we first open our eyes that we open our eyes with pure awareness, and you'll notice the world in a different way. So just have the intention that as you open your eyes, you'll see the world as it truly is. So just try opening your eyes when you're ready. in that moment before the thoughts come back into your mind, when you first open your eyes, you see the world with profound peace. It's a good way to come into your day. It's why I like to meditate in the morning, because my mind is less active. And if I meditate at night, I fall asleep. Okay. Some people meditate in their lunch break. Some people meditate whenever. It doesn't matter. The key is that you meditate. Now, your mind will come up with lots of reasons why you can't meditate, why you can't fit it in, why your mind's too busy to meditate. Just meditate anyway. These are all just ploys of the ego mind. The ego mind wants to stay in control and doesn't want you to find peace and connect with that higher aspect of your mind. Some other things to realize if you want to establish a regular practice of meditation is, at first, it will require patience and perseverance, because your mind is not used to quietening down. So just work with that, and come to your meditation each day with no expectation of how the practice or how the experience will be. Just let it be as it is. It's all meditation. Even if you spend 9 out of the 10 minutes distracted, the 1 minute you came back to the breath is of powerful benefit. And the fact that you stuck with it. Now, what's quite normal when you first establish meditation is you'll be really keen and you'll stick with it for a few weeks and you'll start to notice the benefits. In fact, other people around you will notice the benefits before you do. They'll know something's different about you. They'll sort of, have you changed your hair? Have you lost weight? They're trying to work out what's different about you. You're not as reactive. You just seem calmer and more peaceful. The other thing that, but then what happens often is life takes over and you get out of the habit of meditating, and then you start to miss the benefits, and this draws you back into meditation again. And this can go on, in my experience, this can go on for years. I've been meditating for over 30 years, but it's probably only in the last 19, 20 years that it has really established as the absolute thing I love to do every day and won't miss for anything. Even Christmas Day, it's just part of my life. I'd be lost without it. I cherish it. It's very valuable. That takes a while, especially depending where you're at when you start. You can have very sporadic phases of meditation, but if it's right for you, you'll be pulled back to it. You might try different ways, different teachers, different types of meditation. We're all different, and different ways work differently for everyone. The technique I've taught you today is like a first stage of meditation. It's something that you need to work with for a while. It creates the discipline in your mind. But then as your mind starts to calm, you can take the meditation a bit deeper into what the Buddhists teach us as they call contemplation. And that's when your mind has really quietened down, you can, if you want to, then bring something into your mind that you want answers to. So when you're deep in that state of inner peace, if you've got a question in your life, if you want guidance on something, you can just bring it in and let it sit and see what arises. Because when you create space in your mind, your intuitive wisdom gets heard. So our higher self, our intuitive wisdom, speaking to us all the time, but when our mind is very busy and chaotic, we don't hear. Sometimes an idea will pop into your mind, a beautiful idea, fully formed, when you're out walking in nature or when you're relaxed, because your mind is more peaceful in this space, and you actually notice that idea and it has a different quality to your usual thinking. It's more complete and holistic and whole. And so sometimes when you get more advanced in meditation, you can actually go into the peace and seek, sort of open to that intuitive wisdom. Take a problem in there. If you've got strong emotions welling up, take those emotions into the meditation and just let the higher wisdom give you insight into what's truly going on. If you have problems or illnesses in your body, take them deep into meditation and allow the insights into the causes of those conditions to arise. So there's lots, there's lots to explore. Like I say, I've been meditating a long time and I have never found an end to the peace. It only gets more and more and deeper and deeper. And the effects in your everyday life are profound. So give it a go. If you ever have questions, contact me. I'll put my email address in the comments, or watch some of my other videos, or go to my website where there's lots of guidance on meditation. But give it a go. It's one of the best things you'll ever do for yourself and for others. Namaste.